Okay, we have made show number. Well, half of us has made the show. Let me turn this dadgum music off here. Half of us has made the show this time. So this is show 197. Who knows? Honestly, uh, Duke and I don't have a whole heck of a lot to talk about, but at the last minute, we got an interesting guest. So we're going to have somebody on. There is some sort of housing development, like 460 plus units being proposed in the Stockwell area, like over behind the Dollar General at the end of Shed Road that's being proposed. So we're going to actually talk about that. There was no city council meeting today. I'm not really sure if there's any police jury news. I think there's some Supreme Court news. We may chat about that for just a second. And a little bit of movement on some Cypress District fees. I guess we'll talk about the Cypress District for a few minutes. But let me go ahead and add. So Mr. Lowry is going to be sliding into home plate at the last minute. So bear with me for a little bit, folks. Let's see. Housing units. Let me add this. Shed Road. Okay, so if y'all can hear me, let me know in the comments. I'm showing that we got about 26 people watching. We're supposed to be live, so I'm going to kind of filibuster for a second. Hello there, Judy Stewart. So I'm going to keep filibustering, and I'm going to make sure that we're, of course, live on Facebook while my guest, not guest, co-host, partner in crime, my Louise to my Thelma, is getting to his house. He was at a meeting and again is trying to hurry and get in. Let's see. Let's do some guests here. Oh, hey, look. There's Mr. Lowry from Twitter. Says, yep, he can hear us from Twitter. Duke, you're supposed to be on the show, man. Come on. Christopher Davis says, all good. Thank you, sir. Larry James Hawkins says, greetings. What all would y'all like to talk about tonight? Again, we're going to talk about a potential housing development with the city parish MPC over off of Shed Road. And we got a few other little things to talk about. But if y'all can think of anything that we should know about, let me know in the comments. Let's see. Facebook, good to go. Thank you, Paul Black. Thank you, Mr. Bruce. Sounds good. Sherry Joel Smart. Mike and Judy Dillingham can hear us, so glad to have y'all in. Looks like we've already got north of 40. We're bumping 50 folks in. This is going to be a good crowd tonight. We're going to have our guest on in about 15 or 20 minutes. She's going to be educating Duke and I probably just as much as we're going to be educating y'all. She's actually going to be educating all of us. Mr. Ferris, nice to see you this evening. How are you? I like the little profile avatar there. Looking good. All right, Mitch Smart says, good evening. Okay, I think I've about filibustered all I can filibuster, to use that term. I'm going to go ahead and roll the countdown. Then we'll go into the ads. This is the time when you need to like and share out to all the Facebook groups that you're in that might be relevant to Bossier and parish stuff and all that. Text your friends, let them know that we're on. We're going to be on our soapbox for a little bit talking about, well, who knows what. Anyway, grab your popcorn, grab a stiff drink. We will be back in about 3.5 minutes. And Duke and I will get started. Hopefully he'll be on. If not, we're going to kick him to the side again tonight. And I'll just bring the guest in. So, all right, here we go. Countdown, please. We will be right back.
Knew a lot of the back office on the politicians that they think walk on water, they would be shocked. You know, there's an old wound from a knife in my back that just is giving me heck lately, and it's just really irritating, so I have to kind of wiggle around a little bit.
Well, I've not heard my name in stable or Baton Rouge in stable in the same sentence in a long time.
I titled it A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys.
Just, they feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
Some Republicans as well believe that government has the answers. And let me tell y'all something. I don't know anything government does well. Nothing.
And aren't there laws that say that you have public meetings so that the public can have accountability of their elected officials?
They're making a little bit of progress, but I would definitely have to give the race to Caddo Parish right now.
I don't know. Is there anybody from Plain Dealing watching, you think?
As a member of the media, I'm very concerned about what I've just heard.
Did you or did you not requisition some money to fight against this or for it?
We hired a lobbyist and it cost us $15,000. We were opposed to HB 630.
So for this week, folks, the cockroach of the week, according to Bossier Watch and Duke Lowry and Rex Moncrief, is
Raymond Cruz legislative assistant, Allie Feaster Smith. Thank you, Allie. Well, I'm not thinking Star Wars at all. I'm thinking zombie apocalypse. No way, it was not David. You know it wasn't David Montgomery. David ain't gonna jump off in there with Chris. He ain't gonna do it. He'd as soon spit on him as he would even look at him. Man, this is a Mickey D's Krispy Kreme week. Didn't you know? Who's paying y'all? And if you're driving on the roads, are you safe?
It's on the road, yeah.
Well, I know you're on the road, but I mean, is this all folks coming from the border down there?
Yeah, it's going to border. It's actually going to Mexico and buses.
doesn't mean they interpret it the same way that I do. For instance, the Second Amendment. I take it very literally. That's been interpreted different ways in the court system all the way up to SCOTUS. Yeah, that's only going to cause more division that he claims he doesn't want to cause. And it's only going to cause more suspicion. We're still right now combined on both pages and YouTube at 264 people watching. That is amazing, folks. Coleman Project, the Walker Place deal, through conscious, shocking action. The purpose of their actions was to stop plaintiffs, being the UL Coleman and associated groups not, from developing Walker Place. But here's the key thing, which in turn would enrich sitting city council members Scott Irwin and David Montgomery Jr.
You hit the button. Does that mean that people are seeing us sitting here talking and chatting?
In theory, you know, it's an every week thing. We got to double check and make sure it's like a miracle any of this actually works. This Bossier Watch live broadcast is brought to you by the Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 25 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting. Reach out to Julie Ferris. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And folks sharing information and watching out for Bossier. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. All right, Mr. Lowry is just about here. Wait just a minute. Let me get him pulled up on the screen just in the nick of time. Can you hear me, Mr. Lowry?
Oh, I got you loud and clear. I apologize.
Literally, that is sliding in at the last minute to home plate. You were right on time.
I was on time? Okay, well, there.
I couldn't have scripted any better. See, you didn't even have to go through the countdown or any of that, or mentioning Pelican or well, y'all's company, Acadiana Mortgage. You didn't have to suffer through any of that. You just slid in at the perfect time.
I got you. So what are we talking about tonight?
Well, apparently there's no city council meeting and nothing really interesting on the city council. I think we do have some police jury news we may want to talk about in a few minutes. There's some Cypress district fees.
Yeah, because I was going to say, word on the street is that they're having some walking quorums again.
Wait, what?
I'm just saying, sources are saying that the police jury is having walking quorums again.
It's like the zombie apocalypse with those yahoos. Am I going to have to bring back up the caricatures of them again?
I don't know, but I got to tell you, after I heard this story, there's a lot of thoughts went through my mind about this potential walking quorum and the significance of it. And I'm sure, look, I'll let y'all have your own thoughts when we describe it. But I tell you, we just might as well go ahead and tell everybody. We're already
Well,
talking about it.
yeah, I mean, we got a few minutes till we're going to have our guest on. I mean, we got a few minutes till we're going to have our guest on. So go ahead, spill the beans, Mr. Lowry, because you're more well versed on this than I am. What happened?
Yeah, so here's the story. Allegedly, and have to use that
Yeah,
that term allegedly
right.
because I can't verify. I wasn't there. I don't know for a fact, but allegedly, as the story goes, all the police jurors, maybe with the exception of one, was somewhere over in Texas at some police jury event, right?
Really?
And
Okay.
they're all leaving this event and they all end up in this got to be a really big elevator, but they all
Hmm.
end up in this one elevator. Well, as the story has it, they ended up spending 46 minutes together in this elevator.
Wait, did somebody hit like the stop button on the elevator and so they could have a quorum? A
Well,
walking quorum?
I don't know, but for 46 minutes they all had a meeting in an elevator somewhere in Texas.
Okay. I, I, you know the remember the cartoon Peanuts? You know, Charlie Brown, Lucy,
Oh yeah.
Snoopy. Well, do you remember Pigpen? The one with the cloud of dirt and dust that was around him?
I do remember Pigpen.
That's how I imagine the police jury. They just have this cloud of dust that surrounds them no matter what they try to do. It seems like they
Wait a
stumble.
minute. Was Pinocchio a part of that? No,
You're trying
no,
to
that
bait
wasn't.
me, Mr. Lowry. You're
Oh, that.
going to force me to say something not
a-
so nice or
a-
make me make a
Anyway,
new caricature.
we probably ought to, do a public information request for the walking quorum in the elevator in Texas.
And could they all fit because of Pinocchio? Nah, I'm not even going to say it. Let me switch topics, but related. Mr. Ferris says, I heard today the dissolution of the Bossier Parish police jury is very possible. Well, that's a rumor. Hey, you know what I heard? As a matter of fact, it came to us via the wonderful Proton Mail. I think it was Proton Mail.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, Butch Ford was supposed to be talking about you and I at some meeting. Has anybody heard this? Has anybody been in a meeting with Butch Ford where Butch was actually going to call us out? That's the rumor. Don't know if it's fact. Was only shared by Proton Mail, so don't know who the sender was. Anybody heard this? Anybody been to a Sobo luncheon or something with Butch Ford lately? Calling Butch Ford.
Well, that would be pretty amazing considering maybe the public ought to ask some questions about his residency. I mean, maybe he wants us to cover all that. Maybe everybody doesn't know. I did hear something and everybody watching, and this was somebody in media. I was able to have a good long conversation with them. There and you know, okay, we can't say completely that we're amateur journalists, although we are.
Right.
But because we've been doing this for a little while. We're bumping up on our 200th show, and I'm still working on a pretty amazing guest for the 200th show. So
Drum roll,
can't
please.
say, but if y'all don't watch another show and you get bored of us, you may want to come back to the 200th one because there's going to be somebody important. But anyway, so I was talking to this professional media person, and this professional media person says, dude, says, the thing is, said, when we're talking about stuff, we get tired of talking about the same thing over and over and over again. And we end up talking about a subject. We move on and go to talking about the next newest thing. And we just assume that everybody knows about what it is you're talking about. We just make that assumption.
Right.
So it's not monotonous to continue to talk about something or to rehash it or go over it or explain it because a majority of your people that may see or hear you, they don't know what you're talking about.
Well, that's true. And, I mean, while we have a pretty wide following and we're glad to have everybody watching and commenting, and, we consistently are running about 80 to 100 folks per show, and then, a couple thousand views within 24, 36 hours, we can't assume that everybody has heard this information. And, yeah, sometimes we kind of rehash it and we want to get down in the weeds, so to speak, with the details on it, just to make sure
So
everybody can kind of grasp it and think about it.
yes. So when you said Butch Ford, that made me think of that. And a lot of folks may be like, oh, okay, what are you talking about with Butch Ford? And what. And then we've had some people say that, oh, y'all sure pick on a couple of people, like a lot, like Walk on Water, Juliana Parks. I mean,
That
what?
would be the Skype thing.
Oh, okay. So we got a guess.
Yeah, well, it's just the little call-in thing is dinging. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, but yeah, they say like, oh, well, you're picking on people because you keep talking about them. Well, not everybody hears the story when it first comes out. Not everybody knows about it. I mean, I get all the time when people say, man, I didn't even know that. And I just happened to see a rerun of your video and then they learned about it. They don't learn about it until weeks afterwards or something like that. So,
Well, and look, I want to be clear again, and we've mentioned this many, many times during the show. We are only talking about the stuff that our elected officials or appointed bureaucrats are involved in. That's it. Look, we really don't care about personal lives. Even if we mention First Church, that's only the tie-in between the political weaponization of the church. And
yeah. And,
so, it's not like we go out and target everybody that we see that does something crazy. I mean, we'd
and,
have
it,
to
and, it,
target ourselves.
and it doesn't mean we don't like them. I
Right.
mean, but doesn't matter if it's politics. I mean, if you're in, we're going to talk about it. I'm in
Yeah.
politics. Rex, you want to throw a shot at me? By all means, I'm fair game. Come after me. You think
were
I'm
almost late again, Mr. Lowry.
you
Dadgummit.
you think I'm crazy on this election integrity stuff, but guess what? Bunch of sure enough emails being leaked out on Dominion today. I'm just wondering if everybody got a chance to read some of them leaked emails. All worried about the Serbians running our elections over there. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, we don't completely disagree on that subject. We're just not in 100% agreement. All right. So it's about 17, 18 minutes, almost 7:20. What say you that we talk about some housing units on Shed Road and we go ahead and let me text our guest. She may be listening to the show. So, Tiffany, if you're listening, go ahead and call in, but I'm going to shoot you a text as well. Let's see.
Yeah.
Time.
So I'm kind of thinking we need to set this up a little bit, So here's what I know. I heard I haven't heard, I don't know this whole story, but what I heard is there was this public housing thing that's being put in over there somewhere off of Shed Road, proximal to your subdivision and Carriage Oak, Stockwell, all out in that area, that there's this public housing thing being put in. That's what I know, or what I heard. I don't know if that's accurate, inaccurate, but I think there would probably be a lot of people from Bossier that would be interested to know whether that's accurate or not out there.
Well, I think you're right, and you teed that up wonderfully. Tiffany, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. Glad to have you on the show. And I know it was a little bit last minute. We were going to talk tomorrow about this issue, but I thought, you know what? Why not have her on as a guest? Because Tiffany, I think if I read some of the posts correctly, you were on Keel this morning talking about the same issue, right?
Yes, I was on Keel with Jerry Mays this morning discussing the issue, and I really had a lot more to say, but in such a limited amount of time, And then after I was done, Cliff Guidry, the developer, had a chance to come on and really didn't offer anything of much substance other than how wonderful the amenities of his complex is going to be. So,
okay, well. So Duke and I are not really completely up to speed other than seeing some Facebook posts on this. So why don't you just go ahead and kind of introduce who you are and why this matters to you, and kind of you can just take over the mic and let us know what's going on.
Okay. So my name's Tiffany Sato. I've been a resident of the Stockwell and Dogwood areas for about 32 years. Now I'm only 29, so y'all do the math. Just kidding. But I've been a resident here a very long time. I'm a local realtor, and then I also am a master's level counselor, and I work with juveniles in the juvenile justice system. So The problem, this proposal came to the MPC. I think residents were aware of it a few days before the MPC meeting actually was to take place. And so Cliff Guidry is a builder. It's Guidry Land Development. He is out of South Louisiana. I know he does a lot of building in like Broussard. So the units he wants to build are called shotgun housing, and they look like it. Go ahead.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Did you say he said, or they called it shotgun housing?
Yes.
Did I hear that correctly?
It's essentially it's rows of, it's 486 apartment units. They all are 865 or 875 square feet. They all have the same exact floor plan, and they are to be going at the intersection of Shed Road and Stockwell. There's that Dollar General. There is a piece of land behind there that is essentially the buffer for water retention because of all of the flooding that we've had in the past in the Stockwell neighborhood. So yes, there it is. And he made clear today that he's only building half of the units that are allowed for that size property. So then that begs the question, in the future, does he plan on building more? I mean, that's a substantial amount of housing. It is only 2-bedroom, 2-bath in all of the units. And, he plays it up. He's going to have a dog park and a coffee bar and clubhouse and basically all the same amenities really that Stockwell Landing has without the shuffleboard and fishing ponds. So,
okay.
Anywhere between.
Okay, hold on. You said shotgun housing. This is the developer. He described this as shotgun housing.
Yes.
I can't get over that. I mean,
Yeah,
why would you
I don't
do
even
that?
know what to say to that.
I don't either.
Tiffany,
When you say townhouses?
All right, so hold on a
Well,
second.
and so that is what he was essentially calling them, was townhouses. I think one of the radio personalities referred to it as shotgun housing, and he said, yeah, it is. And, basically because they're single story, they all have the same, layout, all of those things. So shotgun housing is the term. Now, it is supposed to be upscale. The ridiculous part about this is they are asking $1,600 per month for rent for an 875 square foot tiny apartment. You can go across the street to Stockwell Landing and rent a 1,300 square foot 3-bedroom, 2-bath for about $1,450 a month. I know the Lawlers down on Highway 80 are building a new apartment complex called The Ascent, and it's going to have all of the same amenities. I think their highest apartment there is $1,300 per month, and they're even going to have stations to charge electric vehicles. So, he says that they did a feasibility study, and it shows that there is a need for that in our community. We have asked several times why this particular plot of land is so environmentally sensitive. There's so much that can go wrong. You could build down Shed Road. You can build down Highway 80. Why does it have to be right here at this intersection where there's a water treatment plant behind there? I don't know if you guys, Rex, you're from here. I'm sure you've smelled it during the summer times. It is miserable for 3 or 4 months out of the year. I couldn't imagine paying $1,600 a month to live on a literal sewage plot. It doesn't make sense. And so,
yeah, but let me interrupt you for just a second. So, one of the big issues that I see, and I think there have been a couple of Facebook posts in the Stockwell area neighborhood group that's run by J.R. Ward. There have been a couple of posts in there, concerns about the drainage, because, I'm no drainage expert by any stretch of the means, but what I can see is a lot of concrete going in there, and the water has to go somewhere, which, as we know from the 2016 floods, and I think even the 2018 floods, is a problem. Well, the Flat River literally is in my backyard.
Right. And so there's actually 6 drainage outputs onto that piece of property. And that is super concerning. And there's not a lot of green space. He's digging some ponds because he needs the dirt to build up the land. Again, where is all this water going to go? I don't think that he understands the magnitude of the flooding that we've had. So it is my hope that the levee board and the Army Corps of Engineers make the right decision when it comes to doing this drainage impact study.
Okay, well, I'm gonna play devil's advocate for the good old boys, the Gob Network. Let's say it that way. So, if I'm looking at this, what's on the screen here, I mean, I'm seeing this light blue in between a lot of the. Are those not the holding ponds? And isn't every one of these houses going to be like waterfront?
So they won't all be waterfront. Yes, he does say that they're going to build these ponds. They're going to fill them up with the exception of about 2 or 3 feet where they can essentially have some more water runoff into there. The drainage study hasn't even been started, never mind completed at this point.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I know from an engineering standpoint, and we've watched a lot of meetings where, these developers, they build these holding ponds that, mathematically are supposed to offset the drainage that the housing would, the water that would be, if the housing wasn't there, the water that would rain there and to displace, those ponds are supposed to mathematically be able to capture that runoff. So when we talk about the flooding issue, I just wanted to make sure if these blue areas are what is being said to be, the holding ponds. Is that that's what I want to know.
Yes, it is supposed to be the holding ponds.
Okay.
But as we also know too, those holding ponds, let one of them get clogged. It just, you're going to flood out that whole row of houses behind it. And potentially on the dogwood side, because when they did all the levee work, they raised the levee on the Stockwell side, but not on the dogwood side. So, there's a lot. And the MPC, I really have an issue with the MPC. As you guys are well aware, you've got Travis Beatty, who is a realtor who also specializes in land. He's a builder. You have James Fine, who's a builder. Art Schultz, who is a builder. You've got Michelle Wallace, who is a commercial lender. And so during the MPC meeting, it was really, they were just going through the motions to be able to let us speak. But they've already had their minds made up. They are going to, Art made no bones about it. If this drainage impact study comes back and they're fine with it, that he's all for it. And let me tell you, I'm for progressive building, but just not in this location. It's just not, there's so much impact other than the drainage. We've got traffic, we've got schools, we've got the potential future use. So in the MPC meeting, Guidry said that he gives locals, and that was his quote. You can look it up on their website, the YouTube video at 17 minutes and I believe like 14 seconds. He said, to help the locals, we give discounts. And he said, policemen, firemen. So then when he came under fire and going, okay, so exactly how many discounts are you giving? Because now you're bringing a $1,600 a month rent down to $800 a month. So then he backtracked and he said, oh, I'm just giving it to one policeman. The first policeman that moves in there is going to be living in the very front with his police car out there, and that's it. But there is no guarantee. There's no guarantee that they're not going to be giving discounts out to other people. I think Pegasus is the property management company that's going to be managing this. So it makes me wonder with the MPC, who's scratching whose back, whose pockets are being padded by this. And during the next MPC meeting in May, I want them to say on the record individually that none of them unequivocally have any conflict of interest or stand to make 1 red cent off of the building and construction of this property. The smell test, it doesn't smell right. There's just something that, and we talked to Guidry and was like, why this location? And of course he said, well, we thought this was the best location. He did a traffic impact study, which, sometimes those aren't worth the paper that they're written on. If you go through that intersection, we have 0 dedicated turning lanes. Adding a potential 400 to 900 vehicles going through that intersection every day is going to back up traffic for the kids that go to school there. Are they going to put a crosswalk for the kids that have to walk to school? I mean, that's a dangerous intersection to have your kids walk. There's a lot going on there.
Let me ask you this, Tiffany. So Did he give any indication of the demographics of the folks that they're going to try to attract living there? In other words, will they be families with children? Will they maybe tend to be older folks? Or did he give any indication of that? Because that would be my big concern, would be the traffic as well as around the school.
Right. So he actually was asked that again this morning, and he said that it's going to be for everybody. He said there's an Air Force base, and yes, airmen get their housing allowance, but $1,600 is still kind of steep when you're talking about a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, when they can use that housing allowance and have much bigger space, more bedrooms for a family. Maybe you will attract some young airmen. He did say retired people, families. So he's not marketing it to one specific population that he has said.
So let me ask you another question. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're a real estate person, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't want to say realtor in case you're not, part of the trademark name and all that.
I am.
Okay. I just got to make sure, because I got in trouble with that with a client one time.
Look at Rex doing his homework.
Yeah, I know about the
love
realtor
his
deal.
Wife. She's a great agent. Yeah. I mean, a lender, I'm sorry.
All right. So let me ask you this. What do you anticipate this doing to the home and land values around the area? Is that one of the big gripes or big holdups to them developing this?
So that is one of the fears. Now, as you know, he argued, well, none of the units are going to be for sale. So, you can't compare them when you're looking at property values. And he is correct. You can't do that. But if you look at, he has another similar property down south that is a smaller unit. It's 288 units instead. And they are for sale or for rent. So the sale price of those down south, I believe I saw was $189,000. Don't quote me. I could be wrong. But then again, if you start adding discounts, what if people are moving out in droves because of the sewage smell and you can't get those filled? So now what are we reducing rent to? So the property values are not of immediate concern. If these things go wrong, as many of us are predicting they will, eventually that will start to bring down property values because of the people that will move in there for lower rents, lower, right, lower income. And I don't think at this point, there's lots of wild rumors out there. It's housing for illegals and it's housing for this and that. I don't think that that's the case. It just is not. And I'd be fine with him building it. Go build it down on Stockwell, down near like where Allstate is or whatever.
Well,
State Farm.
Well, how do you know? How do you know that it won't end up that way? I mean, I would not trust that the government wouldn't come in here and say tomorrow that, you know what, we're going to lease the whole thing and we're going to plop in there whoever and everybody from Haitian that we want to. We're going to send them to Bossier City, Louisiana. Mm-hmm. How do you know that? You don't know that.
You don't know that, yeah.
Right. So what is the plan of action from here? In other words, is this coming up at another MPC meeting? Where does this in the planning stage as best you know? And do y'all have a petition or something going around, for folks that are for or against it?
Yeah, so it is, he just started, he's expecting 30 to 45 days to get the drainage impact study back. And then it should go on the MPC calendar for May, which at that time, if the drainage study is good, they will go ahead and approve this and he can start, building. I have been working most of the day today, actually getting this petition typed up. And so we will be using that avenue. The police jury, with the MPC, you have 3 members that are appointed jointly by the police jury and the city council. And then you have 3 that are city council, 3 are that are police jury. Some of these people are going to be coming back up for re-election soon. Mayor Chandler is going to be coming up for re-election next year. The voters will remember this. So we absolutely, and Chandler can veto this. There's the thing right there. And so we're hoping if we get enough signatures and we make enough noise, and I am not afraid to make noise, so we make enough noise that our politicians will listen to us and say, look, we have vested homeowners that have lived here for years and years and years. They are our voter base. They are more important than a builder from South Louisiana who has no interest here.
Well,
Again, like you said, he
I
said,
hate.
I'm just trying to make a living.
Let me ask.
Yeah, go ahead, dude.
I want to ask a question. Again, I'm going to be the other side of this equation. I'm going to try to put the devil's advocate hat on. I mean, somebody's got to do it, right? So, is there?
No, go ahead.
Is there any amendment to this thing, or is there anything that they could change, or any way? I mean, because that property out there, I mean, I know the property from, look, when I was on the fire department and Rex's house and everybody out there was being threatened by flooding out there. Yeah, that's low land. It's got to be brought up a ton. It's not a whole lot you can do with that property out there with doing a lot to it. Is there anything that would be amicable to the community out there, to what could that property be made into? What would be agreeable to folks that live out there? Anything?
Well, so funny you ask. So the land is actually, it was zoned in 1979 for medium density residential. Back in, I believe it was 2013, a future use map was done for Bossier City. Why we wasted all of these taxpayers' dollars to do this study and have a future use map that we're going to throw away. The future use map has it zoned for low density residential single family homes. There was a park that was on there near that property or on that property. Maybe a few single family homes. The flooding issue and the 6 drainage outputs are a really important piece of that. So, do we really want to put anything there? Do we want to displace our wildlife? Do we want to change, tributaries and waterways? And there's just such an impact, not to mention at that, the traffic impact, but the school impact. Stockwell is an A+ blue ribbon school. They have a 17-to-1 teacher ratio there. I don't think that Bossier City or Bossier Parish wants to lose their testing status, but as we know, what will end up happening is, let's say out of 1,200 people that could comfortably live there, you have 100 children that are school age that would go to Stockwell. We're not even talking about Cope and Aron, that would go to Stockwell. That's a 20% increase in their student numbers. So you either have larger classrooms, which usually will result in lower test scores, less student-teacher interaction, higher teacher stress. Teachers leave positions like that to go to smaller classrooms. Or the part of Dogwood that is zoned for that area is going to end up being rezoned to go to Houghton. So now you have children that are having to uproot what they've known, their friends, their social activities, their school activities, sports, all of these things to accommodate this complex and new children going there. And so the mental health part of me, because I am a master's level counselor, is, children that go through these changes unnecessarily do experience anxiety, depression, grief, loss, a sense of loss. And so there's just no sense in doing this potentially to our kids. You're either going to have the teachers stressed and not performing at their maximum capacity, or you're going to have the children stressed, or both. And so there's just a better way to do this. I'm in favor of leaving that land alone, period. Let it be what it needs to be. It has been successful since they did the levee buildup. We have not had significant flooding since then. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Well, there's definitely an argument to be made for that. And a lot of folks in the comments, of course, and we're getting a ton of them, we appreciate all the comments, are mentioning the wildlife as well. I really don't know where I fall on the fence on this. Because, if he comes in there and he's following code and gets his approval from the MPC and wants to do this, but, more power to him, except all these other issues that, I don't know if it's the good old boy system or what it might be that's allowing this to potentially slide through. I'm really not sure where I fall on it yet.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I know people have brought up, well, these are more luxurious apartments. They will bring higher income. And yes, there is all of that. But when you take into consideration the displacement of wildlife, the displacement of children, the displacement of water, the traffic issues that we're going to have on top of the traffic issues that we already have,
right?
It just is, and there's plenty of land to be bought out here. Let's be real. There's plenty of other land to build on. It's not like this is the only little plot of land around here and you got to buy it up real quick. It's just that I believe he's getting a deal from the Ogilvies because this land is not very desirable. And so that makes it more desirable for him.
Yeah, I would agree there.
And
look,
that's my opinion.
Well, I don't necessarily disagree with you, and I also do agree, especially on the traffic and the impact on the school system. And I don't have any kids in the school system anymore, but I would definitely agree on that. I mean, it's already a nightmare when you go down to that red light, at certain times of the day. It's already a traffic nightmare, and you add 460 some odd units in there, it's going to be a complete, well, I don't know, cluster. Let's just put it that way.
Well, one of the things was talking about property values. I mean, will this adversely affect property values? I mean, how does that play into this?
I think that we may see 5-10 years down the road. I don't think that we're going to see that immediately. However, when I say that I have talked to hundreds of people in the last week, I have talked to hundreds of people that have reached out to me. I have not even gotten to message back some of them, but the amount of people that are like, hey, as soon as they start construction, I'm out. I'm selling my home and I'm out of here. So I think it remains to be seen how it's going to affect our property values in the immediate future.
Did Rex, I got another question.
Yeah,
Did
go
he
ahead.
give an example of another development or something that was similar to this that's maybe, say, within Bossier? I mean, is there anything comparable?
No. So Art Scholl at the MPC meeting, he's comparing apples to oranges. He kept bringing up the Kingston Road apartments up in Kingston and saying, well, they asked this much. Well, we're comparing apples to oranges. Those are big apartments. They have garages. They're in a different part of town. So you can't really compare that. These don't have garages. There's, like I said, shotgun style housing. So there's not really anything that's comparable to that right now.
And the
Very
reason
interesting.
the reason that I'm asking about comparables, because I know that like in South Bossier, there's a couple of, I called them subdivisions where, you don't have a yard, but I mean, the houses are like really close. I mean, they're like super close together. They're not one building in a unit that's like a townhome, but they had garages. And so then I'm thinking, okay, well, where is there someplace else in Bossier that where it's one building that's like a townhouse type thing? Well, you had Village at the Downs but that was multi-story, and you had a couple of rooms, and you had a garage. You don't have a garage here. But then you had like Riverwood Apartments, which that was public housing. You didn't have a garage, but you had a single story about like what you were talking about.
Right.
I'm trying to think of comparables, and I kind of can't.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I really can't either. And, if he was going to try to market to maybe BIPSI students or, like I said, young single airmen, most of them can't young college students can't afford $1,600 a month rent unless they're, dividing it by multiple roommates. And maybe they can at this point. I don't know. I've been out of, undergrad for a very long time. So there's just not anything. And that's kind of one of the things that Gittery is priding himself on is there's nothing like it around here. There's nothing that's going to be like it around here. And so we're going to have 10-foot ceilings. And there was a lady she lives in Carriage Oaks, but she owns one of the Stockwell Road villas that's there, across the street. And those are nice, gated. And that's what she said. I charge $2,000 a month. Mine is 1,600 square feet. It's gated. There's a garage. There's options. I just don't see you filling this apartment complex up with it. Their feasibility study, I'd like to see that, but I doubt that we'll get that released. So
I'm going to go out on a limb and take a guess. Sorry, Rex. I'm going to go out on a
Okay.
limb and take a guess that what we're vying for is the numerous airmen that are going to be coming into the community over the next couple of years. I mean, I've heard numbers from 300 to 500 new airmen, and that we all know how the housing market is right now. I mean, there's limited availability of housing. I'm wondering if this is just nothing more than a targeting of the new airmen that are going to be coming into the area. Do you think that's possibly the case?
So it is possible, but it's funny that you mentioned that, because after the MPC meeting, a group of us, including my HOA president, we were standing outside and we were talking to Mr. Guidry, who, by the way, is one of those men that will never look you in the eye, looks over you or looks away, which to me is kind of shady. If we're talking about business and you're not looking me in the eye, it tells me, A, you're either looking down on me, or B, you're hiding something, or a little bit of both. Anyhow, that's neither here nor there. But someone mentioned that the airmen coming in around this time of year from Barksdale, and he said, oh, I didn't even realize there was a base here. This was only my third time here in town. And said, you got this feasibility study done and you didn't know? We have a huge Air Force base right here. So he had not mentioned that before in the MPC meeting, but then today when he was on the radio mentioned, oh, I've heard there's an Air Force base, so, some airmen. So who knows?
Yeah, that's a little odd. That doesn't really pass the smell test as it may be as well.
No.
I see a lot of folks commenting, Rex, talking about, well, airmen won't be able to cover that, airmen won't whatever. But let me ask you guys in the comments, if it's a 2-bedroom and you've got 2 airmen, can 2 airmen per apartment, can they cover that? Somebody,
I would assume so. I'm not military. My family was, but as far as I know, from what I understand, young airmen, once they do get a housing allowance, maybe somewhere between 1,000 or 1,200. Maybe somebody can correct me in the comments. And so, that doesn't leave a lot of extra for utilities and that kind of thing. So I'm not 100% sure about their housing allowance.
Good points. All right. Well, we can sit here. I mean, this is a live show with no time limit, so we can talk about this all night. But is there anything in closing, Tiffany, that you would like to let everybody know? And I would also like to say, keep in touch with us as this progresses, and you're welcome to come back on the show anytime and talk about it. But what would you like everybody to know going from this point forward?
So I'd like everybody to please be paying attention. My goal is to have this petition finished and published and out here by the end of the week. At this point, we really have to put pressure on the MPC to stop putting profit over people, because that's what this is. It's talking about city taxes and revenue, but you've got to really look at how it's going to affect the people that live here and love this community. And we have a thriving community here, and we have a lot of activities, and we love where we live. So please be on the lookout if they need to, follow me on Facebook, however, so that they can stay in touch. I've thought about maybe making an actual Facebook group specifically for this petition to be able to get information out. But, I'm not afraid to make some noise, and I'm really, really happy about the neighborhood involvement, the area involvement, the amount of community support that we've had. So I appreciate you guys for letting me come on and talk about this, because like I said, it's something that's very, very important to me. And I know a lot of residents here, and I absolutely will keep y'all up to date on any changes that happen.
Yeah, please do. And, we're all about getting the word out and talking about things that other people might not necessarily want to talk about, like our benevolent overlords in the government around us. So you're welcome to come back on anytime. Just let us know.
Will do. Y'all have a good evening.
All right. Thanks,
Thank you,
Tiffany. Well, here I thought this was going to be a show that we weren't going to have much to talk about, and got a little education in my own neighborhood, literally my own backyard.
I didn't know all of those details on, that development out there. I'd heard there was something going on out there. A few people had their feathers ruffled, but I had no idea. And after hearing Tiffany, I kind of understand a little bit. I would have some concerns myself.
Yeah, I definitely, I'm not completely, totally necessarily against it yet, but I've definitely got some concerns. Now, I want to thank everybody for all the comments while Tiffany was talking. She really did a great job educating us. And so I want to encourage you, if you're new to the show, go hit the like and follow, or if you're on YouTube, run over to YouTube and subscribe. We're on either place, or actually we're on Twitter/X or whatever. So just a little reminder for you folks to do that in the comments.
Now,
We appreciate
now,
all of it.
now look, I got to point out something. There is a comment that was just posted up by Michael Ferris with
Oh,
Pelican Training,
uh,
and it
this
is
one?
it is an observation of epic proportions.
It is, and I'm trying to wonder.
He just
I,
said that he saw a deer just walk behind me. Now, Michael Ferris, do you not know that that is a winery behind me? And
well,
that is where Two Buck Chuck comes from. Now, for all of y'all watching, you either know what Two Buck Chuck is or you don't know what Two Buck Chuck is.
all right. Oh, this show.
Okay. I'll make it easy for the newbies. Charles Shaw. Oh, you don't even get it. You didn't even get Charles Shaw.
Somehow I'm completely lost. Now I'm usually like a walking encyclopedia. Educate me,
Okay.
Mr.
Well,
Lowry.
this is going to be the paradox for everybody watching the show. One, you got to figure out what the heck Two Buck Chuck is, and if you're watching the show and you know what Two Buck Chuck is, comment. That is the trivia for tonight's show. What is Two Buck Chuck? I want to see who knows what Two Buck Chuck is.
I through the magic of Google, I see why I don't know what that is. But okay, keep going,
You were
Mr. Lowry.
you were faking, and everybody saw. You were faking like you knew what it was, and you didn't even know. Okay. Anyway, but it's not Two Buck Chuck anymore. I mean, it's a thing of the past. If you were old school, you would know that. But the modern day folks, you would know it as Charles Shaw.
Yeah, anyway, anything about smashing grapes with your feet and drinking it for a minute. I'm, not to make fun of the wine drinkers. It's just not my thing.
I
Oh,
hear you. Well, look. Today, folks may not realize it, but there was some major things. There were earth-shattering things happened today across the country.
yeah. I mean, apparently this is a show where I'm getting a whole lot of education tonight. Literally, like I said, just got education in my own backyard from Tiffany Shadow. I've just gotten educated on cheap wine. What else can there possibly? Oh, wait, I got educated on the police jury in the elevator, Love in the Elevator, or whatever that song is. What else can I get educated on tonight, Mr. Lowry?
Well, before I educate you more, I want to recognize Lynette McCauley and Nina Miller, and
Yeah,
of course
yeah,
my wife.
yeah,
They are on the mark on Two Buck Chuck. Trader Joe's. Trader
yeah.
Joe's. When they first put out their own brand of wine, they called it Two Buck Chuck. And then, as Trader Joe's progressed, they ended up renaming it to Charles Shaw. So, if
Mm,
you're a wine drinker, here's the thing. Here's what Trader Joe's does, or this is the story anyway, as I understand it. So, after all the major wineries, make all of their wine and they sell whatever they're going to sell, Trader Joe's goes in and buys everything that they have left over.
mm-hmm.
They they put it all like one big batch and they bottle it all up under Charles Shaw. So when you buy Charles Shaw or Two Buck Chuck, which is
Mm-hmm.
it's all the leftover wine,
Mm-hmm.
you don't know whether you're getting $100 or $1,000 bottle of wine or you're getting a $2 bottle of wine. You
That
have
could
no
be either
idea.
or, huh? Yeah. Well, and I wonder how many people actually know the difference. It's kind of like beer drinkers. After about the fifth or sixth beer, it doesn't really matter what you drink.
Well, I will tell you, I've gotten wine from them. There's some bottles that I popped the cork and I had to
Mm-hmm.
just pour it straight out after I had the first sip. It was that bad. It was that bad. But I've had
Oh,
others that it was so good. It was the best wine I've ever drank. It probably was the cheapest
interesting.
wine. Who knows?
Very, very interesting. All right, so let's do it. Let me share my screen just a second. Hold on, let me do a little button clicking here. And let's see, we don't have a guest on. Give me just a second here. Let's get rid of that, and then click that, and oops, we got to get Duke back. Hold on.
Well, that's quite all right. I see my good friend Jill Hines. So a lot of you folks, um, y'all, if you've watched the show in the past, you know who Jill is. You remember Jill. But what you need to know is that Jill was a plaintiff or the plaintiff in the Missouri v. Biden case, where
Yep.
the government was going to social media to violate your First Amendment rights by getting Facebook and in fact they endangered the lives of everybody by, in my opinion, by limiting your ability to get information that about the COVID vaccinations and COVID. You should have been able to have all of the information to make an educated decision. Well, when they filed the original lawsuit, against the government, trying to prevent you and going to social media and all that, Jill from Louisiana, I mean, actually from Bossier City, her family's all from Bossier City. Mike and Judy Dillingham, great people, and a Louisiana product here that was on the lawsuit.
Interesting. Facebook, oddly enough, Facebook has been giving me my reminders from March of 2020 as the COVID thing was happening, those Facebook memories or whatever that I was posting. And of course, back then I was heavy into the high school fishing deal. And so I was making several posts about that. And it's just interesting that Facebook, who was, arguably trying to suppress some of that information, is now reminding me of what was going on during that time period.
Okay. MB Ferris just said, Duke, you are a Somalier. And so I looked it up real quick, and it says rapid relatedness estimation for cancer.
What?
What the heck is he trying to say?
I don't know. I could Google. Well, what the heck? Let's live dangerous. Let's live dangerously and see what Google says live.
Rapid relatedness
Okay.
estimation for cancer.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Well, or it could be translated into a Somali as a member. No, that's different. Do you live in Somalia?
Maybe I do. I just don't know it yet.
Oh, wait. I've got it. Thanks to Wikipedia. It was just a little typo on his part. A sommelier, y'all correct me what that's saying. French pronunciation, I speak zero French. Or wine steward is a trained and knowledgeable wine professional, normally working in fine restaurants. And not only that, who specializes in all aspects of wine service as well as wine and food pairing. Mr. Lowry,
I had no idea.
What food would be the appropriate pairing to your $2 Charlie wine?
Oh, it's steak.
Ritz crackers?
I'm a freaking steak guy, not crawfish or anything. It's steak, baby. But hey, I want to point out Jeffrey Sadow, Dr. Jeff, he knew. He already had it typed. He knew what he meant.
Doesn't that guy have like a PhD or something close to that anyway? Maybe he's got a PhD. I don't know.
He's one of them educated types. And Julie Ferris was correcting her hubby, putting it in there too. She was correcting him too. She knew what he meant.
Wait a minute. Your wife's telling on you. She said he drinks it with everything.
Look, now I will tell you, this past weekend, I tried to go to Trader Joe's in Baton Rouge. And I got to tell y'all, I think it is a tragedy that we do not have a Trader Joe's in Shreveport, Bossier City. We should have one. But me and my good friend, Ann Price, we tried to go to Trader Joe's, but we couldn't. And the reason we couldn't, because they had that stinking Irish festival down there and had all the dadgum streets all blocked off down there.
The Irish festival. You're killing me, Smalls. So yeah, what trip were you on with Miss Ann?
Oh, it was just a Republican State Central Committee meeting, but
okay.
Yeah, boring stuff. Same as tonight. They had the caucuses for the delegates to the National Convention for the congressional districts, and I do want to thank the people that did go out to vote. And MB Ferris was one of those guys. He did show up over there and vote, as well as the K's, and there were a lot of folks there. So, I mean, that's a rabbit hole we can go down. If you're a Democrat or you're a Republican, right now, it's already kind of delineated who the presidential candidates are. But in normal years, when you don't have somebody who's already decided upon to be the presidential candidate, you would have multiple people vying. Well, if it was Republicans or Democrats, they would all be going to one central location to caucus for their identified person. So in years like this one, when you have already identified who the presidential candidate is, members of that party go and caucus only for people that would go to the national convention. And I've been fortunate that, I've been a delegate to 3 national conventions, and, one in 2012, one in 2016, and one in 2020. There's a story behind each one of them. And I'm trying to go again this year. So I put my name on the list, but tell you the story. 2012, Mitt Romney was the nominee. Didn't like it. That wasn't kind of where I wanted to be, but it is what it is. But here's what I'll tell you. Here's my saving grace, right? So I did on the floor. I nominated Mitt Romney. I signed my name. Mitt Romney is nominee. There wasn't nobody else you could have nominated. Mm-hmm. But as I'm sitting there, what they do is you sit on the floor. They give you a piece of paper. And if you're the delegate, you have to write the name of the person that you're nominating.
Oh,
well, I'm sitting next to Tony Perkins, Rex.
Mm-hmm.
Now, y'all know who Tony Perkins is, right?
Right.
So Tony Perkins is sitting right to my left. And Tony's got his pen and his piece of paper, and he hadn't wrote nothing down. I got my piece of paper, and I ain't wrote nothing down. And I look over there at Tony next to him, and he looks at me, and I said, "Brother, I'm not writing on this paper until I see you write on your paper. And whatever you write on your paper is what I'm writing on my paper. So you got to go before I'm going to go." And so look, if Tony went that way, I figured, all right, I'm safe to go that way. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, you need to stick to that story alone. All right, well, as we don't have a whole lot more to talk about, but as we kind of start wrapping this up, I do want to share
the big news. We didn't go through the big news today. Went off on all these rabbit trails.
Well, we'll get to the big news. We got some, is that the SCOTUS news that we want to talk about? Yeah, we'll get to that. That's what we'll close the show out. But as we begin to close the show out, I wanted to share this exciting, amazing offer from none other than the Cypress Black Bayou Recreation Park 2024.
Oh, you're trying to drag me out like I'm trying to drag you out about Pinocchio.
Get ready for this, Duke. Get ready for this amazing offer. Starting April 1st, we're thrilled to announce that we'll be offering season passes for just $80. What's included? Access to all our incredible events and attractions throughout the entire season here at the Cypress Black Bayou Recreation Park 2024. You can even join us as we pay the Caddo lawyers outlandish sums of money. There's unlimited fun and memories with friends and family. Mark your calendars and don't miss out on this fantastic opportunity to make the most of every moment. Stay tuned for more details on how to grab your season pass.
And they left out, and oh, by the way, we're going to do everything in our power to enable them stinking bass fishermen to tear up your seawall and make them fall off into the lake, and then we're going to thumb our nose at you because we don't give a damn.
Boater. It's the wake boaters. I'm trying to tell you.
There ain't a wakeboarder on this lake right now. These
Not right now.
Ain't getting in the water. It's so cold, you'll be voting Democrat before the freaking summer's even here.
One wakeboarder from the summertime will do as much damage as 20 bass boaters any day of the week. I mean, they're worse than those little gnats out there on the jet skis.
There's 20 bass boats to one wakeboard boat.
I'm sorry. Not when summertime gets here. I'm sorry about that, because you forget I do fish out there.
That's different, but I'm just saying between now and the time they come, there's a countless. We got to put a video.
I,
That's it.
you know
That's
what?
it. We
The
got to put a
next,
video camera out here so you can see. You can defend all these bass guys all you want, but I'm just saying, we got to put a
that's
video
it.
camera.
By a show of hands in the comments, let me know who wants to see Duke standing out on his dock as I go zipping by my bright red bass boat and spray water all over him.
I dare you, because I'll get my paintball gun out and you'll leave out of here looking purple and yellow. I'll look. I
We'll
hear
have to debate this.
allegedly. Y'all want to hear something really cool? I hear allegedly people take paintball guns to shoot cowbirds.
Allegedly, huh? And turn them into pink flamingos. Ricky
And I'm
Bridges says bass boats rule. See, I agree. Thank you, Ricky Bridges. Glitter rockets, baby. Although mine doesn't really glitter. It's just bright red.
Well, they keep coming up here by my pier and seawall and doing donuts and turnouts right here on my wall. I'm going to throw part of the seawall up in your boat.
Now, see, now I've got it double stuffed because your wife is threatening to shoot me with a paintball gun as well. What do y'all have against bass fishermen?
She's out there screaming louder than me. I don't want to hear it. But hey, no, anyway, seriously, okay, I got to get off this because you get my blood pressure up. I'm going to stroke out right here on TV, and then we're going to be famous, and you're going to make all the money from our amateur journalism.
Don't worry, I'll cover the funeral.
I'll be dead and gone.
I'll cover the funeral. You got it.
Hey, big news. Did you see SCOTUS put out a ruling today? A big ruling.
Well, hold on, let me swallow this tea before I spit it out on my keyboard. I saw it on my news feed, and I don't know, it seemed like something out of an Oprah Winfrey show. What's the deal? Are they just handing out rulings to anybody? What's the deal?
Okay, I hadn't been on top of it as much as I should have been, but what I did know is that Texas is rocking the boat over there. Texas said, hey, I think it was even their legislature and the governor, they all got together, they passed a bill and said, Texas is Texas, by gosh, they passed some bill and said, we're going to not only apprehend all of the illegals coming across the border into Texas, and if we catch you violating any law via trespassing, it don't freaking matter. Whatever, maybe stop and frisk on steroids per se. If we can find anything and you're illegal, we're going to collect you and we're going to deport you. Well, somebody went and filed a lawsuit. Of course, can you believe that? Probably Biden himself. Going to file a lawsuit and we're going to stop you. And a federal judge apparently put a stay on Texas taking action. Well, as I understand it, inexplicably, SCOTUS put out a ruling today lifting the stay on Texas, enabling them to start deporting and doing whatever the heck they wanted to do.
It's like the Oprah Winfrey show. You get a ruling, and you get a ruling, and you get a ruling. Everybody on the show gets a magical ruling. That's interesting. I'll need to dig into that a little more.
Yeah, I don't know. And then the other thing was all the secret emails of Dominion about, they knew 2020. They knew.
Wait. Let me pause for a second. Just pause. Folks, if we get booted off platforms, remember, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, and Facebook. If we get kicked off of one, move to the other. It's like whack-a-mole. Okay, unpause, Duke. Go ahead.
Don't take my word for it. Just go. It's reported all across the only platform where you will get uncensored information. I mean, if you want to try to find it on Facebook, you're not going to find it on Facebook. They're taking it off left and right. But go to Twitter and you will see it. Read all of the emails yourself. Read it all. You'll see it.
I'm not saying they're not a allegedly evil corporation. They are kind of sue happy.
Well, I'm not saying
for $1 billion.
I'm not saying they are an evil corporation. They probably are, but I'm not saying they are. But what I am saying is how is it that all of this, shenanigans that went on in 2020, how is it that it's just now coming out? We're what are we sitting on? We're March now. We're sitting about 9 months from having a new president and a new election, and you're just now being able to get the evidence. there's no way the government didn't hide all the stuff that's out there. You telling me they didn't know about all these emails? You telling me that the
I'm
CIA,
sure of
the
that. Yes.
NSA, and all of them didn't see the emails from Dominion and all this colluding with a foreign government about having access to every one of the Dominion machines across the country?
Look, on that, we're in complete agreement. I mean, there's plenty of evidence. Have you been? Oh, did you
And it
see?
doesn't matter, Democrat
Wait,
or
wait.
Republican, because look, Republicans are screwing Democrats on
Yeah,
this
but
election crap just as easy as Republicans or Democrats are screwing Republicans.
wait a minute. Squirrel moment. Have you been following Tucker on Twitter or YouTube? Did you see his interview with the Viking guy, the shaman himself, Jacob Chansley?
Oh, I did not.
Oh, Mr. Lowry. Now, I think he put out part of the interview to public, and then the other part, Tucker's got behind his paywall because he's trying to make money or whatever. But just trust me, you need to go to Tucker's account on YouTube or YouTube or Twitter, and check out the interview with none other than the shaman himself, the Viking guy from January 6th. It is spectacular, in my opinion.
I'm gonna check that out. I'll
Yeah.
tell you, I don't know what to say. I thought tonight on this show, I have seen two comments that I thought I was going to end up being in a fist fight tonight with people watching our show. Chris Norris, I thought me and him were fixing to have to meet out at Cypress District and have a fight. He said Mitt Romney would have made a great president.
Okay.
I like Chris, but look.
We tell everybody we appreciate all the comments, even with those that we don't agree, and let's just agree to disagree on that one, Mr. Norris. Although we appreciate the comment.
And then Mike Ferris is calling me names. I thought, I mean, you think this was a Juliana part 2?
I'm going. You are just trying to catch me off guard to say
using
something.
Terminology that I don't understand. I'm from Halton. I don't have them big words, but all I know is Halton beat Airline 8-0. Somebody's put that in the comments.
Hey, that's a positive comment for once on this show. We actually did say something positive. All right.
Hey, look up on Airline. I love it.
Looky there. Jill Dillingham Hines is in the comments. She says thank you to Lisa English Allen.
Jill, what are you doing? Are you still looking at the cherry blossoms? If you're not, why don't you come on the show and be the hero for us? Come on here and talk and tell everybody about, what you witnessed. How about that? It's last minute. She probably won't.
It's getting kind of late, but if she wants to, come on. If not, we'll be glad to have her on next Tuesday. But if she wants to come on tonight, come on. Wow, look, what is it with, is everybody in a time zone shift? Here's Barry Butler saying hi, y'all. Hey, Barry, glad to have you.
Well, Rex, just because you're an old fuddy-duddy, that doesn't mean that, everybody just, shuts down. In fact, a majority of the population, they stay up later.
I know, I'm just getting older. Every gray hair I get is another minute earlier I go to bed.
Well, Jill, we were talking big about you earlier and complimenting you. So your ears must have been burning.
Yes, we're very proud of you. You took the selfie in front of the steps of SCOTUS.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I was kind of proud that day and watching that.
There's Colonel Crockett. What? Didn't the time shift? Let's see. Spring forward, fall back, spring forward. Yeah, I mean, there's Colonel Crockett saying hi, Rick. Hey, Colonel Crockett, glad to have you on the show. Glad you could join us.
And Thomas Shea says, Duke, now I understand why you didn't know what a WASP was.
We're learning all kinds of things on this show, and we're the hosts of this show. That's very interesting. WASP, and acronyms, that we can't really say, I guess. I don't know.
Well, and here's the thing. A lot of folks, if you don't know what a WASP is a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant.
Yes. We did learn that one on this show as well. We're full of terms.
This is an informational show.
Yeah, as Christopher James Norris pointed out, it is a very educational show. All right. Any word from Jill yet? No? going once?
No, that's last minute. She just popped up in the comments. But hey, we do need to get Jill on and talk about it
Yeah.
because I could only imagine. Could you imagine being the plaintiff in a lawsuit that you're in front of the Supreme Court? Could you imagine?
That's
I would
pretty cool.
love to. I would love to hear this story from her. I mean,
Yeah.
she's sitting there. I mean, and golly,
Yeah,
my
there's
blood.
only so many of those events that happen a year. That's pretty cool either way.
A year in a lifetime. My gosh,
Yeah.
she'll always be able to say, hey, I went after protecting everyone watching the show. I went after and tried to help protect your right to free speech,
Yeah.
and keep the government from shutting you down.
Yeah. Tip of let's see, I'm drinking iced tea, so tip of the iced tea to Miss Jill Hines.
Yep.
I don't have a wine glass, but I got iced tea. All right, Mr. Lowry. Anything else?
No, I think that's all.
Okay.
Good. It was a good day for liberty.
Yeah.
Good day for Texas. We finally going to get control of our border, but that's only one border. I mean,
it was a good day. Look, it was a good day for Bossier Watch, for the police jury, for Pinocchio. It was a good day for everybody.
All right.
All right. We'll see y'all next week. Same. Oh, don't forget, folks, join us Thursday nights. We should have another Louisiana Watch coming up Thursday night. I'm not really sure who the guest is yet. I'm not sure if we've got one. But anyway, we'll be doing that probably Thursday night. We'll post a notice. If not, Tuesday night for Bossier Watch, 7 p.m., same time, same channel, blah, blah, blah. We appreciate everybody watching. If you want to donate some coffee money, go to bossierwatch.org. There's a place you can donate or buy some coffee mugs, all that kind of good stuff. Make sure and go by 2 places. Go to Acadiana Mortgage and like and follow it, and look for Carol Lowry, Duke's lovely wife, on Facebook, and follow her. I think she's got a personal page going as well if you need any mortgage advice, or if you need any training and that sort of thing, then hey, go look up the Ferrises at Pelican up there. They're pretty good folks.
Oh, and real quick, everybody, you need to send, there is a piece of legislation that's being pushed through in the Louisiana legislature. Representative Mike Eccles has a bill that he is trying to spend money to study the migration pattern of snails.
I bet that's going to be a long-term study.
You need to send an email to Representative Mike Eccles and tell him you are against his bill to study the migration pattern of snails.
Okay.
Next show.
Okay, this has got me intrigued as well. All right. We appreciate everybody watching and commenting. See, just learned something else tonight. This is an educational show. Don't let anybody else fool you.
Migration. I mean, who would waste money like that? It's got to be a wasp.
Yeah, got to be a wasp. All right. Anything else, Mr. Lowry?
That's all I got.
3, 2, 1. We are out of here.